Today, we're on the fall craft cocktail menu, and we're gonna do a little riff on the whiskey sour. We're making it with a Graham Cracker Infused Bourbon and a Chicory Demerara syrup. It screams fall flavors. It almost tastes like a s'more in a cocktail. It's fantastic. The dark notes you get from the chicory, the graham cracker and the bourbon pair really well. You get the frothiness from the egg white like in a traditional whiskey sour, and that acidic note from the lemon juice like in a traditional whiskey sour. We also add a touch of saline solution to ours. So, without further ado, the Dingo Ate My Baby. All right, so the build for the Dingo Ate My Baby is 2 ounces of Graham Cracker Infused Bourbon, 3/4 ounce lemon juice, 3/4 ounce Chicory Demerara syrup, 1 whole egg white, 2 dashes of saline solution. We give that a wet shake, we give that a dry shake, we double strain it over a large ice cube into a rocks glass, and we garnish that with some Angostura Bitters. Now, with this cocktail, there is a little bit of prep. So let's go ahead and jump right into the prep work. All right, so the tools you're gonna need for your prep work today. You're gonna need a measuring cup. You're gonna need a cutting board. You're gonna need a knife. You're gonna need a citrus juicer. You're gonna need a kitchen scale or something you can weigh out grams with. You're gonna need a pot. You're gonna need some mesh basket strainers. You're gonna need some coffee filters or some cheesecloth. You're gonna need a blender. You're gonna need a bar spoon or something you can stir with. And you're gonna need some sealable containers. All right, so the first step in our prep work, we're gonna make our Graham Cracker Bourbon. Now the ratio for the Graham Cracker Bourbon is 750 milliliters of bourbon to 200 grams of graham crackers. Now that recipe is based on what I used to do in the restaurant, so that would yield roughly 12 Dingo Ate My Baby cocktails. If you don't need to make 12 cocktails, or you don't foresee yourself needing to make 12 cocktails over the next week or two, I would say cut that recipe in half. So to start, we're gonna need our blender, and you are going to grab your measuring cup, and you're gonna measure out your 750 milliliters of bourbon. All right, you got your 750 milliliters of bourbon. Add that to the blender. Next, grab your kitchen scale and grab a container. Turn that scale on. Make sure you zero out that scale. You need to weigh out your 200 grams of graham cracker. All right, once you have your 200 grams of graham cracker, you're gonna dump that into the blender. And the next step, we simply turn our blender on. Woo! All right, guys, and that's all you want. You just want to liquefy those graham crackers into your bourbon. Now, the next step for our graham cracker whiskey is we need to strain out majority of the solids from this. So if you have cheesecloth, that's great. If you couldn't find cheesecloth, coffee filter is the way to go. And I'm just gonna use my little Chemex here to strain this bourbon into. If you don't have something like this, a big basket strainer, you know, like the larger version of these, place it over some Tupperware or a pot or something, and then you can just lay your coffee filter or cheesecloth over that and strain it that way. For me, I am just gonna do it like so. And I honestly normally have used cheesecloths with this, so hopefully I'm able to strain it out just as easily with the coffee filter. I know it will, it'll just take a little bit of time. You may have to change the filter out at some point if you're using a coffee filter. All right, that's gonna take a little bit of time to strain out. So we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna allow this to continue to strain. Place it right there so you can see the process happening. And after it's done straining, guys, don't be alarmed if you have a little bit of loss. That will happen when you do stuff like this and you strain liquor. You may have a loss of volume. So if you did start it with 750 milliliters of bourbon, you may have like 675 milliliters by the time you're done. But allow this to take its time so you get all the product out of it that you can. Now, while we're waiting for this graham cracker bourbon to strain through, let's jump to our next bit of prep work, our chicory syrup. So let's grab our scale again, grab a container, place it on the scale, make sure you zero out that scale. For our chicory syrup, we're gonna need 250 grams of water. Add that into our pot. I'm gonna grab another container just so it's dry. Make sure that scale is still zeroed out. We're gonna weigh out our 250 grams of Demerara sugar. Side note, store I went to was out of Demerara, so I grabbed turbinado. Close. It's gonna have a little more molasses note to it, but it'll still be great in the context of this cocktail. So you can do Demerara, you can do turbinado, sugar, either way, 250 grams. All right, 250 grams sugar into the pot. Place that same container back on the scale, make sure it's 0, and we're gonna weigh out 50 grams of this chicory. And add that into the pot as well. Let's go ahead and turn our burner on. Grab your bar spoon, give this a stir. We wanna bring it up to a medium-high heat. We wanna keep cooking until all that sugar is dissolved, so bring it up to just about a boil. Now the chicory won't dissolve, we're gonna have to strain that out, but it will infuse into the water and the sugar, just like coffee. They use this stuff down in New Orleans in coffee too. If you've never been, I implore you to go buy chicory coffee at the store. A little bit of chicory in your coffee, man. If you like strong coffee, chicory coffee is what you want. I know you can get the Café du Monde brand at Whole Foods, and I think maybe like Fresh Market if you have one around. All right, so we got our chicory syrup going. We got our Graham Cracker Bourbon straining very slowly. Next thing we gotta do is cut and juice our lemons while we wait. Grab your cutting board, grab your knife. We've gone over juice and citrus for quite some time now, so I'm just gonna run through it real quick, and I'm sure you know what you're doing. If you need a refresher, check out our Bar Essentials playlist for citrus juicing the proper craft cocktail way. Big lemons again, man. It must be the season for big lemons. I might have to do these by hand. Don't worry if you get seeds when you're juicing citrus, guys, because you're gonna double strain, aren't you, motherfuckers? We're gonna hand this one. We're gonna handle that lemon. Handle that lemon. Handle it. They're too big for the citrus juicer, man, sometimes. I wish I had the big electric Sunkiss one I used to run with in the restaurants, but yeah, fuck buying that from home. I ain't juicing 4 quarts of citrus anymore a day. Nah. Ow. Cuts in my hands. Okay, set those aside. 2 containers, basket strainer, double strain, as always. Bang it out 1, dump that away. Bang it out 2, double strained. Remember, go ahead and grab your blue tape label and date. Citrus juice, lemon juice, lime juice, good for 2 days. Throw it out on the 3rd day. We'll set that lemon juice aside. We're waiting for this to strain nice and slow. Right, this looks like it's coming up, guys. Let that keep heating for just a few. Still waiting on our Graham Cracker Bourbon to strain through. Our chicory syrup is coming to a boil. I'm guessing that sugar is nice and dissolved. I'm gonna turn that off the heat, and we're gonna grab another container. We wanna grab a basket strainer. We're gonna take that chicory syrup, and we're gonna pour it right into the strainer. Drain down. That chicory's pretty coarse, guys, so I don't think you need to strain it really through a coffee filter or anything. You might get a couple little pieces in there, but nothing I would be too worried about. Right, and again, grab some blue tape to label and date. Shelf life on this chicory syrup, guys, up to a month, refrigerated. All right, a quick little cleanup sesh to get this pot clean for our next step in the prep. We're gonna make our 15% saline solution. So, we need our kitchen scale. And we're gonna need a little container, place it on the scale. Make sure you zero out that scale. And we're gonna weigh out 250 grams of water. 250 grams of water. We are gonna add that to the pot. And the next thing we're gonna weigh out, place the container back on the scale, zero it out. We're gonna weigh out salt. Now we need 15% by weight salt to water. So, what is it? 15%, 25, 12 and a half. 37 and a half. So we're gonna need 37 and a half grams of salt. Go, 37 and a half grams. You're gonna add that into your pot as well, and you're gonna turn that burner on to medium-high heat. Grab another bar spoon, give it a little stir, and you're gonna bring that up to a boil until that salt dissolves. Now, I love using saline solution in cocktails. Much like you salt your food, a pinch of salt in a cocktail can really bring the flavors alive. And it's really fantastic in the whiskey sour context. especially in this whiskey sour with the graham crackers and the chicory. So I'm super excited for you guys to try this recipe once it all comes together. We're still waiting on our bourbon to filter through. Honestly, if you have access to cheesecloth, please use it. You can do thinner, more coarse layers so it strains a lot faster. A coffee filter is going to take a long time. Hear that saline solution heating up. Give it a little stir. All right, guys, our saline solution is coming to a boil. All that salt is dissolved. Grab a container, grab a lid, pour saline solution into a storage container. Grab some blue tape to label and date. Shelf life on that saline solution is up to a month refrigerated. Tell you what, guys, we're just gonna try to strain this through some basket strainers and see if that does good enough. So I take this, take my filter, I am just gonna pour it right through my basket strainer like so. See what it picks up. Dump solid stuff out, and we're going to strain it again just to be certain we got a lot. And we'll pour what we got in there as well. Yeah, sometimes you got to pivot, guys. I've done it like this before just through the strainer. I just thought, hey man, we'll get a little finer strain on it, but this works out good and it smells delicious. So if you can't get cheesecloth, coffee filter seems to take way too long, seems to be straining way too much, just grab your basket strainer, double strain it. That should get all the real solid stuff out. Everything else should be pretty liquefied in there. And we have Graham Cracker Bourbon. Let's make sure we grab some blue tape and label and date that as well. Your shelf life on that, guys, I'd give up to a week refrigerated. All right, guys, that is pretty much it for the prep work. I just want to say again, hey, look, we had to pivot with the Graham Cracker whiskey. That's what bartending in part is about, is knowing how to make adjustments properly as you go. I normally did make this with cheesecloth, couldn't find any. It's taken way too long with the coffee filter, so I figure, you know what, let's just double strain through the basket strainer, which I have done before in a pinch, and it comes out fantastic still. It comes out closer to the cheesecloth way than the coffee filter was looking. It was taking way too long. So, we pivoted. Here we are with our Graham Cracker whiskey. All our prep work is done. We're gonna get into making the Dingo Ate My Baby. So I went ahead and put my lemon juice and my chicory syrup in these cheater bottles here. Should make pouring easier. We still got our saline solution. We got our Graham Cracker whiskey, our Angostura Bitters, and we're ready to roll. So let's grab our shaker tin. Let's grab our jigger. And let's grab our glassware. We're going with the rocks glass for this one today. So we start cheapest ingredients, the most expensive ingredients. 3/4 ounce lemon juice. 3/4 ounce chicory syrup. Oh, it smells so good. 2 ounces of our Graham Cracker whiskey. Now, next little step, we're gonna crack our egg to separate our egg white, except I'm going to do it into the large side of my shaker and then pour it into the small side. That way, if I mess up, I don't get the yolk and everything in the cocktail. And I always add my egg whites last. I don't know why, it's just me, even though it's probably the cheapest ingredient. So, egg white, let's pour that in to our cocktail. Now for our 2 dashes of saline solution. If you don't have a dropper, a straw is the perfect tool to do dashes of saline. So take the straw and just do boop, boop, 2 dashes saline solution. All right. So, this being an egg white cocktail, we're gonna start with our wet shake. So let's grab a clean, large shaker, and we're gonna ice the small side of our shaker tin all the way to the top with ice. And we'll go ahead and grab our large cube to ice our rocks glass. So for our wet shake to start, we are going to shake for 12 seconds as always. "12 seconds. Crack that container. Now, before go off, just pouring it into our cocktail. We are going to strain it back into the small side of the shaker. Make sure you get everything. Oh yeah, every last drop. And a little bonus, we're gonna take the spring out of our Hawthorne strainer and we're gonna seal it up with no ice. And we're gonna dry shake for 20 seconds. It's a long one. Ah, 20 seconds, not even enough energy to flip the flare and fling the thing, but I'm gonna crack it still. Oh, yeah. 20 seconds. Grab your basket strainer and we're gonna double strain our whiskey sour. And lastly, I'm gonna hit that with our Angostura Bitters for garnish. Drops all around. And we're gonna give it a little spin. And there you have it, guys. The Dingo Ate My Baby. Let's taste. You get that Angostura, the cinnamon on the nose for sure. It's nice, covers that egg white perfectly. Man. And you get that richness, that bitterness, those dark, rich notes from the chicory. The Graham Cracker gives it an almost like Biscoff cookie type note in the cocktail. You still get the acid from the lemon juice, a little bit of salt from the saline solution. Man, that is a delicious fall version of the whiskey sour right there. The Dingo Ate My Baby. There it is, guys. I hope you're enjoying everything. I hope you're liking all the recipes. Let me know in the comments, guys, how you're liking everything. And as always, become a regular somewhere. Become a regular at your local watering hole. It's the best way to support local business. And become a regular here at Happiness Bar by liking, commenting, subscribing. Hit that bell if you want notifications. We got cocktail videos coming out every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern to get you ready for the weekend. Stay happy, everyone.